Hello Flexers, welcome back to the channel and thank you so much for clicking on today's video. I'm JW Prewall, aka Flex Daddy Righteous, two-time regional champion and multiple-time worlds competitor. And today we have a little bit of a different video. We're going to look at some of the strategies that I use when I am making a deck, be it for a competitive environment or for the crazy decks that you see on this channel. So whether or not you're competitive, this video is sure to have something for you. Let's take a look. On today's video, we're going to look at deck building through PTCGO using only cards that we can get out of PTCGO. I know a lot of you are players that maybe are newer to the game, maybe don't have a lot of experience with the online client. And so we're going to look at how to create decks with the decks in PTCGO for the coins that we can get on PTCGO, and then build some kind of better list with them, make it better. I'll go over some of the ideas for deck building. So even if you're maybe not a new player, maybe if you are an experienced player, you'll kind of understand how this can be applied to the decks that you're playing in a competitive environment. So let's take a look here. We're going to go on to PTCGO and we are going to hit over to the shopping cart area, and we're going to redeem some packs here as well as some theme decks. So I would like to get 2 theme decks. This is a cheat code, by the way. You can actually redeem 2 theme decks. Now you have 2 of each card, which is so busted because normally the theme decks, if we look at it here, it's like half of a deck. So if you just buy 2 halves, you get a whole. It's as easy as that. Because look at this. We got 2 Charizards, and we only got 3 Charmander. And generally, one of the biggest things when deck building is that consistency is king. So we want to make sure that we're not spreading our lines too thin, and that we can have as many Pokemon as we want to take as many prizes as we need. So let's go ahead and buy 2 of these Charizard theme decks. Okay, so now we are over in the collection area, and we have our 2 Charizard theme decks. We're going to go ahead and open these just by clicking on them and then clicking the top box in the upper right hand corner. That's going to open it for us and add these to our collection. You can see that this is the whole deck and we basically just opened 2 of them. So let's go ahead and head on over into the deck manager top here and click on deck manager, and let's get this deck built. So here we are back at the deck manager. What I want to do is I want to take a look at the cards in this deck and try to formulate a plan around them. So let's go here and just take a look through all the Pokemon and try to find a Pokemon that we really, really like. So for instance, the Charizard does a lot of damage based on the Leons that we have in the discard. And we know that this deck comes with Leon. So another really big deck building tip here is to try to find synergies, right? So if our Charizards do more damage based on how many Leons are in the discard, maybe it would be a good idea to have as many Leons as we can possibly have in the deck, right? That's just basic synergy. So Charizard is a card I'm looking at to be something as like the backbone of our deck. And then the Yanmega could give us a little bit of type coverage. Now, normally in Pokemon decks, you'll see on the competitive scene, they're generally 1 type, maybe 2 types. But the reason we can get away with the Yanmega is that it has this colorless attack cost. We also have colorless attack cost in the Lugia, as well as the Sudowoodo. So I'm kind of looking at those cards as maybe forming some kind of backbone here. We use Yanmega early, and then we go into Charizard, and then maybe even swing with a Lugia or 2 in the late game. So taking a look here at the Magcargo. Magcargo is pretty nice, but it has a very hefty attack cost that I don't really like. It does the most damage of any card here in the deck, aside from Charizard. But it costs 4 energy, whereas Charizard only costs 2. So I'm thinking we're going to build a deck. Let's go ahead and cut Magcargo from it. Probably cut Sudowoodo as well. We'll see where we're at after we build the deck, if we want Sudowoodo or not. I'm liking the switch. I'm really liking the Evo Incense and Great Balls. Those are going to help us a lot when we're trying to find our Pokemon. Got Research. We got Sonia, some Bead as well. I pretty much love everything in here. So let's go ahead and take out those Magcargos, see where we're at, and see what we can add to kind of augment what we can do. So we'll come back into the deck manager and create a new deck here in the standard format and search out all of our Chars. So we've kind of decided that Charizard's going to do the most damage, and that's not always how you pick an attacker. But in this case, I think Charizard very much clear and above the best card in that theme deck. So let's go ahead and take these Charmanders, and we'll give it 4 Charmanders. Go ahead and give it, I don't know, what do we think? Like 3 or 4. Maybe let's just do 4 for now, and then see, we can always cut back later. And then we'll do our Charizards. You'll have a few less Charizards if this is your first time playing, but obviously I have, you know, a few reverse hollows, not the flex on anybody. But we got the cracked hollow and then the regular non-hollow from the packs, or from the decks, I should say. So this is our first lineup. When we're building out a deck, let's try to keep our lines as thick as possible to start, and then we'll cut them back as we find room. As we, you know, maybe we don't have enough room to include all 4 Charizard, or maybe we don't have enough room to include all 4 Charmeleon. That'll be the case, especially if we want to try to get in some rare candy, some of the other cards that we need in the deck. So let's take a look at that there being our starting point. And then we also have some Lugia, which I'm particularly interested in because it has a decent little 1 energy attack. And it also has a 3 energy attack that can save us some energy. So let's go ahead and add 2. Of course, there was 1 in each of those theme decks. And then we also kind of took a look at Yanmega for a little bit of type coverage. Now, Yanmega maybe isn't the best Pokemon here for the type coverage because you're thinking about water decks that maybe just run, you know, right through Charizard's going to be able to knock him out in 1 hit. But the Yanmega gives us a little bit, you know, in case that water Pokemon is weak to grass, we have a way to do some heavy damage to it. So let's go ahead and give ourselves some Yanmega as well. Again, we're going to add in the max amount, and then we can cut back as we see fit. So I think we can go 4-4 and just leave it at that. Now, we also need some energy. I generally like to stay on the side of having 15 Pokemon, 35 trainers and supporters, and 10 energy. I've been playing for 10 years now, and that has been, I would say, the general kind of trend of where things have gone. Now, recently, I would say the energy levels trend a little higher. You're going to see decks with 14, 12, 10, that kind of thing. Whereas sometimes decks in the past may have trended a little lower. Some as low as even 4. You look at a deck like Night March, that had only 4 double colorless in it, or maybe Zoroark decks that only had 4 double colorless. So I think that middle, you know, margin for error is going to be that 10 mark or so. So let's go ahead and add in our fires. And I think to start, let's try to give us, again, we're going to go with this idea of giving ourselves a little bit more than we need and maybe cutting it back if we so choose. So let's go ahead and give ourselves 13 energy, and we'll call it there. So maybe just a little bit more than otherwise we would have. And we're kind of thinking here like, yeah, we're going to go ahead and cut these later on in the deck building process. So in terms of supporters, we got a lot of good ones. So we have Bead. Let's just go ahead and put them all out here on the client so that you guys can see it. We got Dan. Very fun card. We got Leon, which is, like we talked about earlier, one of those cards that combos really well with Charizard. So I can already tell that we are going to include 4 copies of those. We also have Hop, and we have Professor's Research. It's crazy that these decks came with 4 Hop. So if you're buying in for the first time, you got 8 Hop. And then we got our Sonia. And that is about it. So these are the supporters that we have. Bead is going to allow us to attach an extra energy card to our benched Pokemon. Dan, I don't quite love Dan in here. Draw 2 cards. You and your opponent play rock, paper, scissors until someone wins. If you win, draw 2 more cards. So Dan, maybe not the best. I think in terms of draw supporters, we got both Hop and Research to maybe give us a little bit of boost. So Dan, sorry, buddy, but the luck factor is just too much. One thing that I look for when I am trying to build a deck or maybe create that perfect list is I try to minimize the luck factor. Now, there are cards like Crushing Hammer. There are cards like Pokemon Catcher that are really good. They're very good cards, but they work on a flip. So as much as you can avoid that, and Dan feels kind of the same here, right? Where it's like, it's kind of random what you and your opponent choose. Generally, I try to keep the flip cards or the random cards out of my list unless I absolutely need them if their effect is just too good to ignore. Dan, I think you can be ignored. See you later, buddy. All right, so we got our Hop, we got our Bead, our Leon we have already discussed. This is going to give us extra damage boost, which is kind of nice. I kind of like it with the Lugia a little bit too, right? 1 energy, we could do 60 damage. And then discarding them is going to boost our Charizard damage. So let's go ahead and give us 4 of these Charizards. Again, that synergy is just too good. We got Professor's Research, probably the best supporter in the format right now. Discard your hand and draw 7 cards. Gotta have 4 of those. And then Sonia. Search your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon or up to 2 basic energy cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Very nice card. I think I'm going to add 4 of those as well. So we got 4 Hop, 4 Leon, 4 Research, and 4 Sonia. The bead also feels a little bit necessary, but generally speaking, I feel like we're going to want to play one of these other supporters. Like in the early game, you kind of have to identify what you want to do in terms of what Pokemon you want to get out. And generally speaking, you know, bead isn't really going to help you with that, right? Because bead is just going to attach energy, but that doesn't help you get your engine rolling and get your other Pokemon out. However, it's good enough. I think we want, you know, maybe 2. It's just not a card we need to see very much in the early game. It's more of a late game card. So Sonia, Leon, Research, and Hop all maximize. Again, we're going for maximum consistency with this deck. So we also have some Great Ball, which I love for us. We got 4 copies of those. Let's make sure we get the right art. And I think these are it. Something like that. That's close. This is one of the newer arts of Great Ball. So we got 4 Great Ball as well in this list. And then let's take a look here at what else we have. Switch. Now, Switch and Great Ball are cards that I think are pretty common to find in decks. Switch more so than Great Ball. But you certainly want to have, when you're searching, some very powerful search cards, right? The Great Balls can get us any Pokemon out of the top 7, which is so good. If you're playing in a competitive environment, maybe you would swap Great Balls for Quick Balls. Those are a little bit more specific. They are guaranteed to work every single time, whereas Great Ball maybe isn't. And so I like these Great Balls just because it's the best trainer card that we have. Now, a lot of trainer cards are even more busted than this, but for our purposes today and our deck building purposes, we only have access to Great Ball. So Great Ball is what it's going to be. Now, we did get a notification, you may have seen it on the screen, that we had more than 60 cards. That is an issue. We're going to have to start looking at how we can pare down these cards here. So immediately, I kind of think, all right, if Charizard's going to be our main focus of the deck, and we have 4 of those, and we're going to want to probably try to attack with 4 Charizards in a game. And we already have Lugia, and that's a pretty nice attacker, right? It can attack for 30 for 1, and it can do some energy loop shenanigans. Then maybe I kind of look at the Yanmega as being that maybe odd one out, right? It doesn't quite fit in with the rest of our Pokemon just because it isn't the thing that we'd rather attack with, right? We'd rather just swing in with Charizard for 300 damage every single turn. We have all of our Leons in the discard. The Yanmega, it's good. I think we want to keep it, but let's go ahead and reduce the Yanmega down to a 2/2 line. It still gives us that coverage, but it's not the focal point of the deck like the Charizard is. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we have 3 cards now that we can work with. And I think one of the things that we got in the trainer cards is going to be of big help to us. So an Ordinary Rod is something that is very nice to recover both energy and Pokemon. I want to add 2 of those. I also want to add 2 Evolution Incense. Now, normally I talk a lot about, you know, you'll see the supporters and they are at 4 counts, right? But these Ordinary Rod and Evolution Incense are not at 4 counts. Why is that? Generally, in the Pokemon trading card game, the recovery cards don't need to be as highly played because a lot of times you can save the recovery. You can play it only at the, at the right moment. And you only really need, maybe 1, maybe 2 Ordinary Rod in a game, just because you're not, if you're winning the game, you probably have enough attackers to swing through all your opponent's Pokemon. And if you're losing the game, it's very hard to come back from, discarding all of your main attackers. So Ordinary Rod, I think we can go ahead and keep at a 2 of. As for the Evo Incense, we do play a ton of those evolution Pokemon. You got the Yanmega, both the Charizard and the Charmeleon are both evolution Pokemon. And so evolution incense is going to have a lot of targets and it is automatic. However, again, it comes down to whether or not you want a little bit more of a boost in the early game or more of a boost in the late game. And for me, I think the Great Balls are going to fit a little better because they're going to help us search out a little bit better those Pokemon in the early game when we want to get them shut down onto the bench and ready to be evolved on the next turn. So we are 1 card over. I did say that we we're going to look at cutting some fire energy. So I think we're going to go down to 12. And that is going to be the finished product here for the Charizard theme deck. I think this looks like a very nice deck that you could take on the ladder and do pretty well with. Or if you're just playing with friends, this is something that, you know, would be how I would build this deck if I was just given those parameters. So if you enjoyed this deck video, how I build a deck using these theme decks, we will be sure to do more in the future. Please leave a like down below on this video, and also leave a comment. I want to know, was this helpful for you? Maybe even as a competitive player, or if you're a new player and you're just coming to the channel for the first time or one of the first times, did this help you learn how to maybe construct a deck or how to work in some cards that you maybe otherwise wouldn't? I think that this is looking like a really good list for the parameters that we were given. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. And as always, please make sure to subscribe as well. That helps the channel out a huge amount. I'll see you guys on the next video. Good luck, and also have fun.